in CST and DMA. Is there a motion on this item?
Madam President, I move approval of the reclassification of the classified position in Clerical, Secretarial and Technical, CST unit, and the Diablo Managers DMA unit.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Dennler.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Mayo. Is there any discussion on these reclassifications?
I actually have some questions.
Okay.
I don't know who I'm talking to, but... Oh, Mrs. Braun-Martin. Mrs. Braun-Martin, my question was, a person goes from a senior typist to a high school registrar, a secretary to a senior accountant clerk. Those seem very different. I mean, I was trying to decide, did they have the job and then they took on other responsibilities, or how did the job grow that it went from a secretary to a registrar and a secretary to a senior accountant?
Well, the secretary to the registrar, it grew. This individual had been working as a secretary. The program was reorganized to support ongoing needs and increased number of students being served. Home Hospital generates ADA for the district, so it serves up to approximately 400 students a year. And they work with John Muir, who serves up to 1,000 students across California. So the position is vital in terms of enrollment and responding to credits and assisting with transcripts, which is beyond what a simple secretarial position would do. There's no increase in hours, there's only a change in reclassification. So reclassification is an effort to recognize that someone's scope of job responsibilities or the degree of area responsibility has increased significantly. It's not that you're working harder, it's that your work has actually expanded in its scope.
So if an employee believed their job should be changed, upgraded, how would they go about having that happen?
So if you look at our contracts for our different unions, in each contract we have a section on reclassification, and it identifies the window of time in which that process should take place and some of the criteria for reclassification. Our personnel director, Lois Peterson, ran the CST reclassification, and I facilitated the DMA reclassification. And in all of these cases, in all unions, as they submitted proposals, they submitted a written proposal for why they thought the scope of their work had changed and why they thought their work should be acknowledged and recognized as being of a higher level. The supervisor of that individual had to provide a supporting statement as to how they viewed the role and responsibility of that individual. And that individual actually met with us, and there's actually a panel which is composed of union members that reviews that person's reclass request to determine if they think it has merit. And those reclass proposals are taken to the superintendent's level for a recommendation to the board.
I had it brought to my attention that we have eliminated some positions, and I was wondering if a position like this could ever begin to encompass something that had been eliminated previously.
The positions on the secretarial and the wraparound are paying for themselves because those are programs that actually bring in money by serving the students that are in those programs. The chief accountant, Brian in the fiscal department, is looking at reorganizing his department and restructuring it to make it more efficient. The reality was that that particular employee's scope of responsibility had expanded tremendously, and there was a higher error rate. His budget was reviewed to see if he could restructure his department and absorb that cost, and it would actually be effective in making the department more efficient in serving the needs of the district.
So the question I have is, can other employees turn in that request at any time, or is this only done once a year?
There's a window in each contract for each union where they turn in that contract. So CST had a reclass period, M&O had a reclass period, DMA had a reclass period. I don't believe it received any CSEA requests that I'm aware of. Okay, so those were the unions that had members. And these people are the people that came forward. There were actually approximately 20 reclass requests that were actually reviewed.
Any other questions or discussion? Then we would take a vote on this item. And the motion carries 501. I'm sorry, 401. My apologies.